We are once again joined on the show by Adam from the Howlers. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you very much. The last time we spoke, I want to say it was maybe the week before What You've Got to Lose to Win It All came out. I think it was a
Yeah, a long time ago now, man. Over a year that, but
yeah.
yeah, most likely I would say, yeah.
How was that when the album came out? Because I know you're very excited for it coming out. How was the reception when it actually finally got into people's hands?
Yeah, you know what? It was good. Like it was. It's hard to explain because obviously doing everything yourselves all the time, you kind of don't get to enjoy the gratification aspect of what it means to be an artist all the time because there's different pressures on you. But yeah, we had a really good run of like in-store shows, meeting a lot of fans, which is a really intense experience. And then yeah, the album did its thing, and we ended up going on touring that at the end of the year, which like all sold out. And then we did, and then obviously the album did really well in mainland Europe. So we ended up doing Europe this year, which mostly sold out as well. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster, but yeah, Europe's where it's at, man. I'm kind of fallen in love with the fact that our we've built quite a strong fan base out there in quite such a short time. So, but yeah, it's been good. It's been good.
That's quite interesting. So the first time you've been able to go out to Europe as well.
Properly touring, yeah, we've done like the odd show here and there, but it was the first headline tour we ever did, and yeah, it was like we were told by a previous agent that no one would take a chance on us in Europe. Even this was just after the album came out, and we were kind of banging our heads against the wall, going, "Doesn't make sense. Like it's topping charts in Europe. Come on, let's book a tour." And they were going, "No, no, no." And then we kind of said, "Well, you know, we used some pretty choice language, I would say, but we said we'll go do it ourselves then." And we sacked that person, and then we booked that tour ourselves, and proved a lot of people wrong. And it was, rocked up first night in Paris, and there's 400 people like sold out in a show in Paris on a Tuesday. Um, it was a crazy experience to start that way. And it only got better from then. So it was, yeah, it was good, man. But it was weird.
The weird's always good, I think.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, like there were so many good things that happened out there, and in when you're in a different country, pretty much every night. Um, yeah, it's just a beautiful experience and I'm very lucky and very fortunate to even be able to do that, and have those fans out there, and be invited on like TV talk shows and radio shows, and while we're out there was it was a surreal experience. We got to Berlin, and I was invited on like a German equivalent of like Jonathan Ross, I would kind of say. Um, Very strange experience, and uh, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It was kind of like imposter syndrome. I'm sat there with the host going, "This is weird," and there's like a TV audience, and it's like completely sold out. And I did my thing, and then obviously walked off stage, and then leaving the building, there's people with like printed out pictures of me to sign, which is a very like when you're just a working class boy from the south coast. That's a weird experience. Like that's so weird. I'm like, how did you get that photo, man? Um, but yeah, it was nice to come back home after all that, obviously. Um, but yeah, man. Anyway, I'm rambling about the wrong countries.
No, that's fine.
Mm.
Kind of like, how does that? This could sound like a really stupid question, but how does it kind of work going on a talk show in Germany? I'm assuming
Yeah,
you don't speak German.
yeah. It was really weird actually. It was kind of like they spoke to me in English, and then they were translating my answer in like abbreviating it in German. So it was like we'd have a conversation like we are now, and then yeah, like she would then translate it very quickly in German, and it was like I learned halfway through. I was like, right, I need to keep my answers short because like, otherwise I'm going to be sat here for a very long time just like looking at my feet. Um, but yeah, it was cool. It was like it was weird, and there was a couple of instances like that out in Europe, but you're a British musician in Europe, so they kind of want, and you're selling out shows, so they kind of want to chat to you and have that experience. But yeah, there's a video of it somewhere, I think. But yeah, I mean, like I walked out and I made a fool of myself like immediately because I almost tripped over like a wire and yeah, I was a little bit nervous. And actually, it was filmed just after our sound check, so we'd done the sound check and then they basically arranged for me to have a taxi straight to the studio, and then I had to do that, and then I had to get in a taxi straight away and back to play our set. And I got back to the venue 10 minutes before we walked on stage, so it was stressful, but it was good. It was fun, man.
It's like the most rock and roll thing going. Yeah, I'm just gonna do a sound check. Then I'm just gonna go do a talk show, and I'll be back. Don't worry,
Well,
I'll be back.
it sounds more rock and roll than it is. You're sat in a taxi for 40 minutes both ways, so it was. Yeah, it was, and I'm like the taxi driver on the way there, like 100% was trying to kill me. Like, we were there. I was there with one of my members of the team, and we were in the back of this taxi, just terrified. And but he got us there on time, so fair enough. But yeah, man. Anyway, we digress.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. That's a great little story though, and that's a really cool thing like to take away from the fact that an independent band from Britain that you can do that in Europe, pretty much by yourself as well, with not a lot of backing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of boxes you've got to tick. Which I won't go into because
Yeah,
that's a whole nother story. But like you have to, like, we were very fortunate that our album did very well in multiple countries in Europe, and the team we have in Europe did an amazing job. Which was also nice, obviously, when we did that tour because they're based in Italy. It was nice when we were in Milan to hang out with our European team that we don't get to hang out with, and yeah, that was another experience getting rushed around by them to different radio things, and you're in a taxi and they're going, "That's my childhood home and that's my school," and blah blah. And it was like you've always known these people, and yeah, it's crazy, man. But and then you come back to reality and you wake up in your flat the first night after a tour and in your own bed, and you're like, "That was a strange experience. It's like a fever dream."
yeah.
But um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it again.
Oh yeah, certainly. And like I always feel there's always a little bit of even just coming back from a festival as like a punter, there's always that sort of like festival blues or even just gig blues. You've even gone to a really good gig and the next day you wake up and you're like, oh, I got work today. Like I wanted to be back in that room
I
screaming
mean,
with people.
when we're on tour, you have both of those feelings. So you kind of like you're like, oh, it was great last night, and then you're like, oh, I've got to go to work today, and it's like you got to drive there and load in and do all that, and then it's like it repeats itself. But yeah, the first, like anybody who's like seasoned in touring will tell you the first 5 to 6 days are quite hard and knackering, but then you kind of get over this like peak, and then you could go on forever. And you get to like day 10, you're like, I don't want this to stop. I could keep going. Let's just book more days. You know that you can't do that, but
Yeah.
you're in your little micro environment, and you're with the people you play with on stage and your team and your crew. You're with them 24 hours a day for the European tour we did was 16 days. So it's like you're with these people for over 2 weeks. It's more you're not going to spend any more time with anybody else on the planet, and you have to be accommodating to that, but also work together as a team. But yeah, when you get in like the groove of it, you're in the pocket with each other. You're like, let's just keep going, man. Like, we were in halfway through the tour, we were in Slovenia. We were 1,000 miles away from home. Like, you have to be like on it with each other. Um, but yeah, I do understand how it feels. And post tour blues is a major thing, man.
Yeah.
It's it is. You come back to reality and you're like, what do I do today? Oh, I've got to walk the dog and yeah, maybe get some lunch. You know what I mean? See what happens. But yeah, I do miss it.
See, the crazy thing as well is 16 days doesn't actually sound like a lot of time to spend with someone until you think back to the lockdown when you're like 16 days with the same people without being able to leave. Like 16 days becomes a very long time. So like you've got to be very close with the people you're with for 16 days because especially with the pressure put on of putting on a show, making sure everything goes all right. There's a lot to it. Which like when you think about 60 days, oh, that's not long. Then actually, yeah, I remember lockdown. 16 days is about 3 months.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy. Like, it is. If you think of it in just it's a couple of weeks. Doesn't seem that long. It's like most people have longer holidays, but it's sometimes the people that you bring on the road with you are new people in your team and your crew that you've never worked with before, maybe never met before. So it's like you don't know how you're going to get on, and the best people you'll ever meet are people that are like seasoned touring crew or artists, because they're people that are they know when to give you space, they know when to support you, and they know when to pull their weight. And is you have to build these really close friendships and relationships really quickly, and you come away with your personal in jokes that no one else gets, and you carry them on. And I'm very fortunate to have people in the team that I've worked with for a long time, so it is kind of like going on tour with your siblings. But yeah, it's like I always compare it to that when you start having a relationship with somebody and you're dating over a couple of weeks, and you see each other an evening here and there, and you think, oh, we've been dating 6 months, but actually you've only spent maybe 10 days total together
Yeah.
over that time. And it's the same sort of thing. It's just in a really condensed experience, and you're sleeping in the same rooms with each other, like, and then you're in a little metal box hurtling at 70 miles an hour down the road together for hours. Like, some of the journeys we were doing were 8-9 hour drives, so it's like you have to entertain yourselves and be good at just putting your headphones on and just kind of being allowed to do your own thing, or shouting when you need a wee, like, because don't hold it. Like, if you need a wee, like, just shout, man, like, you're gonna have to go. But yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun touring, and touring the UK's no different, except for the places aren't as exotic. And who wants to play in Preston over Vienna? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't happen. But yeah, it's cool, man.
And a big thing, I think, not just with you guys, but with a lot of independent bands over the last few years, is that community that's been built. Obviously, you said you got Europe because there was that big community. You managed to get 400 people in Paris. You know, that community in music, I think, is what is so important nowadays for bands when they're starting out, bands when they're going, and it's that connection with an audience is just it's so hard to build. Like, how do you kind of is it something you really have to think about? Like, how do you try and go, how do we connect with these people? How, like, what can we do to make this a community, make this work for us and for them?
Yeah, you can't really, you can't. Here's a simple answer. You have to just let your music do the talking. Everyone has a different answer, and everyone has a different way of doing things. And like, music is subjective, art is subjective. So it's not everyone's going to dig what you do. And I'm from a background where I don't care if you don't like it. I'm not going to try and convince you to like it. It's a waste of my time and energy, and it's never going to work. So if you don't like it, cool, man. But you don't need to be horrible about it. You just don't like it. But yeah, we've been quite fortunate that we do have a quite a good community of fans, but they're very spread out, which is somewhat to a detriment of us, and somewhat to the benefit, because it means that for a band of our size and our experience, that we can go out to Europe and do 14 days and have, I think it was like 9 of them sold out in places we've never been before. And you're in towns and cities that you've never heard of, but you pull together a fan base there, and you pull together a community there, and we're very fortunate of that. But yeah, man, I just try to be authentic in what I write, and if people love it or like it, or makes people sad or happy, or that's all it's meant to do. And the best thing I always say to any artist that asks us for advice is just graft, man, and spend time with your fans and treat everybody like they matter. It doesn't matter if they're you know whoever it is, like some massive radio DJ or a smaller radio station, or someone who's been to 10 gigs, or someone who's been to going to their first gig of yours. Like, I go to the merch stand every night, and I spend about 30-40 minutes there, shake everyone's hand, I say hello, sign everything they want signed, even if it's an appendage or whatever it is, or it's getting sharpied. And yeah, you get to know these people, and then you spot them at different shows, and they travel, and it's like we've got a handful of what I call super fans, and they're people that have graduated to having my contact details, because all they're ever going to contact me for is like they run a fan page and they're like, I haven't got any content. Have you got some pictures or videos that you can send me? I'm like, there you go. Keeps them happy, sort of thing. And they're the people that are blood of your community. And like, last week we took a stand against some bad behaviour from a promoter that we're working with, and which we took a stand against it a long time ago, but we made it public that we were struggling with it. And yeah, it was a strange experience. I think it was within 24 hours, it was like 50,000 people had seen what we spoke about, and then this morning I think it was like 600,000 people. So it was like that conversation is carried by our fans, and they're from all over the place. And because we started that conversation, a lot of our fans message us saying, like, I can't get to the show, but I'm going to do this for you and do this, or I've just booked my flight and a ticket and I'm coming from Italy or France or Netherlands or whatever it is. And yeah, I'm just lucky, man. I'm lucky in that sense. But authenticity is what it is. Obviously, you can tell I'm pretty passionate about it. That's why I rambled about it. But without fans, you're nothing. So just treat them all like your mum. That's what I say. So
I don't swear as much in front of my mum as I do in front of my friends.
I swear like a sailor in front of my mum. I come from two like naval families we've chatted about before. So my mum's heard me say every swear word under the sun, and I've heard my mum say every swear word under the sun. But she's the daughter of a naval officer. So when she goes to swear, she likes to say, "Excuse my French," and then say the most abhorrent word that you've ever heard. And I just sit there in the room and go, "Fair play." But yeah, man, like so yeah, I'll swear in front of fans as much as I do in front of my mum.
So yeah, so like you said, you took a stand against the promoter. So is are things looking better outcome wise for you guys now than what they were? Because it seemed quite bad when you discussed it.
Yeah, yeah, it's still bad. Like, it's still bad. You know, we had without going too much into it,
Yeah,
but like working with a new promoter. Um, well, not a new promoter, but it's someone we've worked with before, and I we had a bad experience with them before, but they moved company and then we moved agency. So when we got an offer through, um, we didn't know who it was. And then I think it was about a month into the confirming it, I was like, "Oh, you're kidding! It's that person." And we just like saw problems and happening, and they just did one by one. There was just lies and bullying and manipulation and refusal to do this and that, and just failures left, right, and center. And even our agent was like, he just said in 15 years of working in the industry, he's never seen something quite this bad. And it was getting a lot, man. So it was, and then, because they were making mistakes, charging us for things, we were having to foot the bill for this and that. You end up racking up debts, and you're just like, well, how are we going to get these back? Like, it's insane. So much so that when we had a meeting with this promoter, and we pulled them up on what they were doing, and I basically just said, in no certain terms, I just said to him, you do realize, based on everything that you've given us, that, in terms of what you have to hand and the information we've asked for, you've only promoted the show for 4% of the time it's been on sale. And he just was like, and he just kind of said, and what's your point? And then, said something along the lines, well, he actually said a swear word, but he just said, you are me off, basically. And we were just kind of like, just in a bit of disbelief about it. So, yeah, it meant that I was put in a very difficult situation. Like, I haven't paid my bills on my flat for 2 months. Like, I'm, in a bad situation that I kept from the team and everybody for a long time, because, we self-manage, we self-release, we self-do everything. So it's like, when it comes down to the band, I am it. So it's like, I have to be happy-go-lucky for most of the time.
yeah.
And yeah, I just kind of woke up one morning and there was some more stuff that came to light that they'd done. Some of the venues were being difficult as a result, and some of the supports that we got on were being difficult. And I reached the end of my rope with it. I was like, nah. I was like, I'm calling this out now. And yeah, it was interesting, man. It was interesting to see people's takes on it, and it was interesting to see all the love we got. It was interesting to see some of the hate, but that's to be expected. Don't bother me. I grew up in a working class town, looking like I do. You know what I mean? Long hair and skinny jeans. You know, I've had a bit of stick my whole life. So someone having a bad day on Facebook isn't going to bother me. You know, but yeah, man, like we'll see. It's been nice to see the fans kind of rally. We'll see how the shows start at recording of this very
Yeah.
soon. So yeah, we'll see, man. But what will be will be. We're gonna, we give it the beans every night, and yeah, we'll see what happens. We're hastily putting together a run of dates early next year to try and recoup some money in venues that we know that will sell out and things like that, and then sadly, we'll probably end up switching our focus to Europe. Sadly for UK fans, but not sadly for me, because I'll be eating schnitzel and chocolate cake and all that, and so I'll be loving it. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get a bit of grief from someone in Nottingham or something arguing why we're not playing there, and I'll go, well, would you play in Nottingham or would you rather play in Paris? It is a shame, but we have to go where the fans are, and the UK is such a brutal place full of people in the wrong jobs, effectively, and in this industry, and it's sad, man. But people like us suffer. But I'm very thankful for all the fans. If any of you are listening, I'm very thankful to listening to me waffle for one, but also for rallying together when we needed you to. But yeah, we'll see, man. No one should live with debts. That's cool, especially debts not caused by yourself, caused by other people. So, but there we go. Now you know.
Yeah. But the really positive thing about that is that sense of community that you said the communities come together. Like that's what I love. And that's what I've always loved about music. And I love the fact that, things aren't great, but there's that community there trying to make things better, which, is
Yeah,
always just an amazing thing.
it's cool. It's the amount of messages we got from all over Europe and even some stuff in the States and beyond. My brother lives in Okinawa in Japan, so quite far away, and someone he knows out there saw it, and that's how he picked up on it. So it was like, it did have quite a far reach, and it was mind blowing to see that. And it had the desired effect. My agent texted me about an hour after I put it up and was like, why is the promoter called me 5 times? I'm in a meeting. And I was just like, I just sent him a screenshot, and he just sent me back a text message saying, lol, I'll ignore him. But it's as I said, this industry, particularly in the UK, artists get treated so badly, and there's a lot of people that are in these jobs just to appear cool, which isn't the same in Europe, and it is sad. And that's the one thing I took away from you touring in Europe, was how much we are treated differently, how much we are it's the little things that you just think that's so nice. And I was struggling to unwind my UK mindset. So
Yeah.
I was like, for example, we turned up at a venue in Milan, and there was 10 to 15 people stood around the back of the van when we arrived. And I got out and I said to one of the team, I went, who are these lot? Are they fans? They're a bit early, and they you know what I mean? It's like good 6 hours early. And they turned around and went, no, we're your crew for tonight. And they were like, just give us all the stuff, we'll load it in. And then I had a dedicated runner just making me teas all afternoon, and they provided us all meal. We all sat down together as a big crew and team in the venue and had a meal together. And it's like those little things, they make all the difference. And you're just, I was struggling. Someone's going, do you want tea? And I'm like, no, I'll make it. And he's going, no, I'll do it. And then it's like, I'm going to take a bag or a box or a flight case into the venue. And there's like 2 guys, they just instantly whipped it out of my hands.
Yeah.
And I end up just standing around going, well, what do I do? And I'm not used to. I'm
Yeah.
not. Yeah, I want to get stuck in. So, um, yeah, but it's just nice, man. You'd be lucky if you got a packet of crisps and a warm little beer in this country, but yeah, man, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And on a more positive note, obviously this year we've had Night Crawling, and obviously more recently we've had You Can Be So Cruel, which both great tracks. Like obviously could be so cool is the current single. Like when did you write that one? When did that one come about?
That came about. Well, first of all, it's all positive. I will say that
Yeah.
there's nothing negative going on here, man. Like we find, but yeah, no, like that one. They like a kind night. So basically, going back to like Nightcrawling. Nightcrawling was kind of like the first song that I wrote as what's next, and then very quickly after that, You Can Be So Cruel was written. So I'd say probably December, January. So December last year, January this year, and there's some other songs that have been written. Well, a lot of other songs actually. A whole album's worth of songs, but it's like yeah, it goes back a while and speaks to some stuff that was going on at the time. So yes, we had that tour in March in Europe, so we kind of debuted a lot of new material from that. So You Can Be So Cruel was one of them, and yeah, we debuted that on the road, worked it out, like what was working, what wasn't working, took it back into the studio and tweaked it a bit, and that's the record that went out. But yeah, it's cool. It's a funny one. It was recorded really DIY, just the same as we did Night Crawling, and yeah, we had a lot of fun with it, man. Like it's nice to do something different, nice to do something that feels authentic and still, and yeah, it's just fun to play. Like, don't get me wrong, the debut album is great. It was a point in my life at the time, but there's been a lot of stuff that's happened since, particularly with previous members of the band, that means that I don't feel like I have ownership over my pain on that album. So moving forward, it's kind of like I do everything, I write everything. I've always composed and written everything anyway, but yeah, to have ownership over your own stuff right now is yeah, it's nice, man. It's nice to get a good reaction on new songs as well.
Yeah. So is that the hopeful plan for the end of this year is to maybe get a few more of the tracks down and recorded and
Yeah,
out?
we've already made a start on it. We're pretty busy still for the end of the year. Like we had because of what we did the other day with that post.
Yeah.
Um, Band of Skulls are taking us out on the road in December. So we're playing some big venues with them, and obviously we're going out with the Enemy end of October, early November again. So that's cool. And then we've obviously got our headline in Amsterdam as well in November. So there's a few things we've got to figure out getting time to record stuff around that. But yeah, like some of the new tunes are, I'm going to be biased, but they're the best thing. They're the best songs I've ever written. There's one in particular, which if we get to a second album, if we get out of the situation we're in and we get to a second album, it will be the title track, and it's insane. Like we started rehearsing it last week to debut on this little tour we're doing, and just instantly when we started playing it, we were like, oh, that's you know there's some songs as musicians you make noises and you pull faces and you're just like in a rehearsal room and you go, oh, I almost swore there, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. There's a lot of tunes, there's a lot of good ones. So if people are coming to see us at the end of the year, they'll hear some stuff, man.
I like this. And this like this whole conversation, like, I kind of said that on a more positive note, but it has been pretty positive. Like everything you've been speaking about in a positive light, and a way through things, and I love that. I love that thing, I love the fact you're really excited about new tunes that you've written as well. Like that's always great when you chat to a songwriter and they're like, "I've got this song. Like this song is like," and I love that passion with someone. Like it's just incredible to see.
Yeah, man. Like, it's I work really closely with the same, producer and that we worked with on the first album. So it's when I sat down with him and said, "Look, man, the band as it was is falling apart. Rebuilding that going forward. Um, what do we do?" And he was like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I just said, "Well, I would like to do something better." That's that this is kind of my revenge dress album. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like I want to do things that I wasn't allowed to do, or like I always felt like I had to make people happy. So particularly people that were in the band at the time, it was very limiting experience. I would, as I said, I wrote everything, composed everything, and I don't have ownership over it, and it's hard. So going into this experience, Chris, who I work with, he sent me a bit of a challenge and just said, "Look, go away, tell a better story with what you're writing, and we'll make the music work." Um, Unfortunately, everything that I've brought to the table is kind of how it's ended up. So it's kind of like I've gone in and gone, "This is what I think," and he's gone, "That is amazing. That's amazing. Let's do this." Or this, and we've worked together about 4 years now, so it's like we kind of read each other really well. Um, and even things that we have, the track that I was just chatting about, that I was just buzzing about, we actually re- demoed it down, and it was sounding great. It was good, but I took it into rehearsals and showed it to Toby, and Toby kind of listened to it and went, "Why is that bit there and not there? Like, why are you saving that good bit for the end?" And I just kind of went, "Yeah, you're probably right." And then I reworked it, and it became this Goliath of a track that it is now, um, which is, it's a bit of a Josh Homme moment for me playing that song because it is quite complicated. And there's things in that song that when I demoed it, I kind of listened to it afterwards and went, "How the hell am I going to play that and sing that at the same time?" So there's been a lot of like bedroom playing, like trying to like figure it out and things. But yeah, I don't know, man. I forgot what the original question was, but yeah, it's nice to be passionate about something that I'm writing and to have a real strong narrative of what I've written, and every song that I've been writing, just being like, that's a potential single, and that's a potential single, or that's a potential single. It's it feels quite fortunate as a songwriter to have hit that inspiration because that goes like I haven't written a song for a very long time because there's no point because I'm just like sit down with a guitar and I go, not feeling that. So I'm not going to try. I'm not going to
Yeah.
force it. It's not going to be as good. So, um, yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. I hope we get to a second album. It would be pretty magical to get a second record out there. Um, we've been like kind of a preluding to it. So, and it was always my like goal was like get to a second album and then what will be will be.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see if we do get there and these new tunes do get to have their time in the sun. Um, yeah, I think people will be surprised in a good way.
Yeah.
I hope in a good way. I don't care if if it's in a bad way either. I still bought the record. You know what I mean? I still got mine.
I like that though. I really hope things do work out for you guys, and then we get to hear that second album, and then we get to hear that tune that you're excited about,
Oh,
and
I mean, we're still going to play it live as long as as long as we've been invited on stage. But um, yeah, where it sits in the set at the moment and how the song is actually structured, it's like a punch in the face. It's like even when we're rehearsing it live or like in rehearsals, it's start the song and you're just like, all right, cool, and then you get like kicked in the face like straight away. It's so fun. Um, but yeah, we'll see, man. Like, I'm chatting and smiling because I'm just thinking about things that have happened in rehearsals where it's like, you're looking at each other across the room, or you're smiling, or you're joking, or you're saying some very choice language afterwards, and um, in a good way, where
yeah,
you just express yourself. But yeah, man, it's. I hope we get there too.
yeah. Well, thank you so much, Adam, for your time, and thanks for chatting. And yeah, like I said, really hopeful for you guys, and I hope the tour goes well with like Band of Skulls and Amsterdam show and everything like that. And hopefully catch up with you maybe in the new year if you're doing some dates, and we'll try and come along.
Yeah, man. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and thank you very much for having me. But yeah, I'm hopeful, man. Like nothing gets me down. So you know, you I started life with nothing and I grew up with nothing. So everything I have now is I've had to work for it. So you cherish it more. But and I'm not gonna let anyone take it from me, put it that way. So
Yeah.
that's the working class man in me. Just like claw onto it. But, but yeah, man, thank you very much. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you at a show.
Yeah. Thank you.